the first to know. Nsem-Pii TV.
Enra, the criminal division of the Accra High Court, Eko Asetra. Ya omo remandi nipa 9. Ya say nipa 9 nyina jitu mu say Kia track. Ya ekoko so damage. 2 newly acquired diesel multiple unit train ya ebeye adwuma wo the Nsem-Pii rail line na omo timbi. Enti court to charge woman for abatement of unlawful damage. Already, Kia track and driver, Abel Zidoto, the Japan Circuit Court, and sentencing him to 6 months imprisonment. But some member 9 years, and I remanded woman pending further investigation. Kuku Kojo, Patrick Kwaku Susu, Alazan Prosper, and Afia Dube Emmanuel. And then the Honorable Nsem-Pii MP for Hohoi, Minister for Railways, Chirimwa, after na wenya complete briefing, Edia free. The 16 engineers, ya omo free, PESA, a company manufacture the diesel multiple unit train, yeah, Poland. Now, see, according to the engineers, afi inkwa, oma conducted over 300 test runs on their trains. Yeah, just say, Ghana nkwa. There are more than 30 countries. Yes, I design multiple unit trains. Your manufacture bidiama womo, including Ghana. Baby, I'm going to conduct Tesla. Na yenti ni trains, you know, omunyan releasing from our government of Ghana because letters of credit, yeah, establish payment for these trains. Yeah, according to Nsem-Pii, Ghana bought $16 million. You know, letters of credit in the Kwenyanko, and that's the Ministry of Finance because. Memorandum of understanding, ya o minor ni pesa, any VAOB sign, any say. Train omo de beba. Omo be contact necessary test runs on every aspect of the train. Ehun se ni nyina meet standard requirement and sana o minor tuyaka. Enti obi a ono di train aba ya yentu aneka ebe ya hwe ha. Ya wonye any inspection. Now almost I make this important revelation say Omo tracker enofa rail no so ansana Oma ye test run of the original train. Sa track no echo ahead of the train best 30 minutes echo esaba na anko na saba. The third time echo 30 minutes na the original train eto aso. In all this corner bra the rail track was very clear. Enti briben ene nkofo the track ni besi so. The Honorable Nsem-Pii, according to briefing, in-depth briefing, ya PESA engineers, Edemaya, and they are the Accra High Court, anymore, the Atoto and Samoa, and Mamrantiana, the Hokano Court.
I was asked about the test run that we did. Did we inspect the track?
Yeah, normally there are boxes to tick during this process of test run, and this is the 306 inspection and test run being conducted by these Polish engineers. They said this was about 306 for this year alone across the whole world, and they've never experienced this. So they have a system to follow. So there was, of course, the first was to send a rail track, which went ahead about 30 minutes. Early in the morning, they did an inspection across the whole line. And when they were able to set off 30 minutes, because the line, it's a new line, they put in the rail track. We have a rail track that is used for maintenance. That goes 30 minutes ahead of the train. So yes, the inspection has been done, and the necessary measures have been put in place before the commencement and the departure of the train from kilometer 0. So that is exactly what happened.
So the inspection that day showed that there was nothing on the track that was inhibiting the passage of the train.
Precisely, because they give a clearance that the line is free, and so the train and the rail track 30 minutes this time because the train ran faster than the rail track, you know. So they give an indication that the line is free, and it follows up. And you also saw that after the incident, the rail track had to move from Nsem-Pii, from kilometer 97 towards the scene, you know, to push the other items out of the road. So those necessary precautions were taken. And this, I expect, the engineers, they've done this several times. It's not the first day that they're doing it in Ghana. So all those precautions were put in place.
And I'm sure that they've been briefed, I believe, thoroughly about what happened.
Precisely.
The braking system, though, I believe that the train would have a system that sort of alerts it as it proceeds a few meters ahead what the situation is. But also the braking system would allow it to sort of brake. What was the briefing that you received in terms of that system?
What I was told is that it was in a curve. And the minimum allowable distance for application of this braking system, I understand, is about 1 kilometer, you know. So they've gone through the curve, and to where this particular vehicle was parked, you know, of course, less than 100 kilometers. So on seeing the track, you know, on the rail, there was an attempt. You can see, if you see the video, the operator actually make an attempt to, you know, put in the braking system, which was done, but it was very close. You saw the distance. And so that runs into the track. So yes, of course, they tried to apply the brake, you know, but it was very close to it. And you realize that the train comes to a halt, you know, after the incident.
Okay.
Yeah.
Does it have a radar system?
We don't have a radar system on this train to detect any obstacles on the line. What we have is a signaling. What the signaling does is to communicate between two trains, oncoming vehicles, and, you know, the other one, you know, going in opposite direction. So we have that signaling system, you know, on the line. But we don't have a radar to determine that there's an obstacle on the line. That we don't have. There are cameras that we have, but these cameras are also located only at the stations. We have about 8 beautiful stations constructed along this line. So the cameras are positioned along the stations. So it is extremely difficult for a train to move at kilometer 0, get to kilometer 20, and detect that there's an obstacle in kilometer 84, for example. That it's not installed on this train. We don't have that system.
Is it a function that we should have?
A radar system, I think, is something that we will do, because this a new train that we have brought in, and if you look at the infrastructure that have been built in Tema, it's modern, because the train can be shut down from the control center in Tema. We have built a very beautiful control where the train can be shut down if it detects that there's an oncoming train coming in the same direction. They can stop it instantaneously. That can happen. So, but what we don't have is the radar system that I've just spoke about. Yeah.
And do we know how much it's going to cost for the repairs?
Of this train, I have no idea, but I understand it's not quite extensive. Yeah.
And just clarify, I talked about 12 trains. This is one of 2.
This particular one, this is what we call the diesel multiple unit. So you see the 2 sides, it can move in both directions. And so there are 2 coming in. This is the first one. The second one, it's coming by July. The other one we have, which arrangement has also been made, I think the industry document has said, Ministry of Finance, is what we call the locomotives. The locals are for freight. But what we have here specifically, and what you saw on the train, this one is for passengers only. So this is just for passengers. The freight is what we are about to bring. And I think they are about 12 in numbers or so. That's the locomotives. Yeah.
So a total of 3 of this is what you're hoping to have?
This, the DMU, one is here, the other one is coming. 2.
2. So 2.
For passengers, only 2.
Okay.
It has a capacity of about 200 people.
And what's the cost of this?
The 2 understand that the value of the LC is about $15 million. So,
$15 million.
Yeah, so one may be approximately about 7.5. There have been some fluctuations, I was told, which total to about 1.5 million in addition. So total to that, we're looking at about $16 million or 16.5, if I'm right.
Finally, let me ask you on this matter. What do you make of the criticism that has been leveled against yourself? In fact, the former president, John Dramani Mahama, did a tweet on it, in which he raised the subject of the tracked inspection, for example, questioning why the rail was tested at a time when there wasn't proper testing done. There's been some criticism of the way this whole thing was handled. Do you accept that the engineers, the authorities that supervise this, failed us in the way that they run this test?
I totally disagree with His Excellency John Mahama. I don't blame him. This is not his field. Those guys who did this test run are experts. There are 16 engineers that were brought from Poland. This is 304, I was told, tests that they've conducted worldwide this year. And so, I don't know, His Excellency John Mahama, where he's coming from with this understanding that no inspection has been done. As I clearly explained to you, they put in the system for inspection. A rail track was put ahead. Earlier on in the morning, they went around the whole line to see that there was no obstacle. 30 minutes this time before the takeoff of this DMU, the rail track, the maintenance track, was put ahead. So what is he saying when he said inspection?
This is what he says. How can you conduct a test run on the new railway line without a track inspection? How long had the vehicle been on the track before the test run? If I were president, I'll be asking some serious questions. The second question he asked...
Can I answer that question?
Yes.
I don't think he understood the question himself, his accent. Did he try to find out whether inspection was done as a former president? Did he make an effort before coming out with this? Sometimes some of us just refuse to talk because some of these statements being made by people at higher authority. If I'm a former president, I would never say this type of thing. Did he try? He knows me well. He could just find out from me from the office. Oh, my minister, my boy. Then we'll tell him the truth. He has not established that fact, and as a president have an intention of coming to lead Ghanaians, and you come out with this sort of statement. I don't know. Surprisingly, this type of I don't know how to describe it, but His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, this is below the belt. I am sorry, I give you all the kind of respect, but I expect you to find out first. This is below the belt. A former president, you are not even an engineer. These are 16 qualified engineers brought down from Poland. The inspection and the test run is not conducted by Ghana government.
This wasn't done by your ministry?
No. I told you that the contract specifications specify the time of transfer of ownership. So the train is not our train. We have not taken delivery 100% ownership of the train.
But the track is yours?
The track is ours. We own the track.
So that's the point he's making, that if you own the track, then the inspection of the track will be your responsibility?
Yes, of course, and that has been done. What does it mean by inspection of track? Tell me, how is the track going to be inspected?
But he raises a second question linked to the first.
No, but I want to understand what he meant by the inspection of the track.
Well, he asked the question, how can you conduct a test run on a new rail line without a track inspection?
So what is track inspection, John Mahama? The track inspection, what does it mean? It simply means that somebody or a maintenance vehicle goes along the track to see if there's any obstacle. That is how I understood it in our manual terms, because we don't have a radar system to be able to detect the track inspection through a radar system where you can be in a control room and see the whole line. We don't have that. So this manual track inspection that His Excellency is talking about was conducted. So I don't really know what...
When was it conducted?
The same day. And I'm telling you that engineers informed me that the rail track was 30 minutes ahead of the train. And so when the incident happened, where did the rail track come from? It comes from kilometer 97 back to the scene, kilometer 76 or so, to do the recovery, because they were ahead, about 30 minutes difference. You see, it is just a coincidence or an accident that I cannot explain. According to the gentleman, he came by, dropped his block or whatever, and in an attempt to go back, he decided to go over. I don't know what motive it is. I don't know. He's the best person to judge himself, but I'm saying that...
Some have suggested sabotage. You believe that?
Well, I'm not in a position to justify that. But where I can state clearly that the motive of just parking along the rail, it's very uncultured. It cannot be accepted in any modern civilization. That is where my problem is.
You said motive. You're questioning the motive.
Yes, that is what I'm questioning.
As in, you're questioning whether this was done deliberately.
Yeah, the intention, whether it's deliberate, but the intention, what prompted him to do that? He was saying that because I cannot go back through the underpass, I've decided to go over this. That thinking alone in itself is wrong. It's completely wrong. As good citizens of this country, we shouldn't do that. Okay, and that is why people could read any ill motive into it.
But the second question that John Mama has, how long had the vehicle been on the track before the test run?
Well,
it's a valid question.
It's a valid question, and that is why all that I can answer that question is that according to my briefing and what I've gotten from the engineers, the rail track was about 30 minutes ahead of the DMU. Okay, so if you wanted to know how long, it would be extremely difficult because what it meant is that the rail track had passed before
the vehicle crossed and parked there.
And if you hear the guy said he was running back to the track. So it was done within a short period because he was coming back when he heard that the accident had occurred. So it's within that maybe a minimum of 30 minutes.
But isn't 30 minutes too much time?
You know, the DMU moves at a speed of almost about 120, 150 kilometers per hour. I mean, but because of this test run, I understand they were going about 60 and 80. The rail track is a very slow-moving track. The last time I bought it was about 2 or 3 weeks ago when I had to go to Mpaka Dam for inspection. And so if that rail track is moving about 40, 60 kilometers, and this is doing about 90 kilometers, I don't think the time interval of 30 minutes is too long enough. You know, I think it's okay to accommodate any unforeseen contingencies that may occur during that period.
Let's talk about the big picture. And there are a few questions around the big picture. This is part of a master plan.
Precisely.
That, from what we now know, revised in 2020 that you're implementing. How does it fit into the big picture? And what is the big picture?
The big picture is to revamp the railway sector in Ghana. You recollect that after a decade of underfunding in the industry, His Excellency President Kufuor, at that time, formed what we call the Ministry of Port, Railways and Harbour. The intention then was to put some level of focus on the railway sector. Because you agree with me, Evans, that the railway sector had totally been run down over this period by successive government until His Excellency John Agyekum Kufuor come out with these innovations of forming this ministry, which was then a new ministry. Then they went ahead to decouple the role of a regulator from an operator. Either two, we have the Ghana Railway Company Limited operating. Then they come out with this Act 2008, 779, if I quite remember, that craft the Ghana Railway Development Authority as a regulator to be responsible for development and regulating the railway system. Now, either two, there were no specific plans about the railway industry. So what His Excellency did at that time was to get this company called DAL, Hassan, if I quite DAL, DAL, at that time to conduct a feasibility studies in 2007, 2008 about the Tema Mpaka Dam. That time it was Tema Akosombo. So when I listen to people like, what's the name?
Sami Jemfi?
What?
Is this Sami Jemfi?
Well, I don't, the communicator of the...
Yes.
It's not Sami Jemfi. Okay, all right, well, I don't know. So when I listen to him saying that this was their baby, it's time that we stop misleading Ghana.
But isn't this their baby?
It cannot be their baby. I'm telling you that His Excellency John Agyekum Kufuor brought this framework. And the feasibility studies was done. You cannot rule out the NDC that they do not do anything on that line. Of course, they play their role. Government is an ongoing, concern. Okay? So after His Excellency John Agyekum Kufuor did this feasibility studies about this line, in 2008, when the feasibility studies was completed, the NDC came in. You cannot go and constitute a contract procurement process without any feasibility studies. Which feasibility study did they do? Did they conduct the NDC? So they went and took what President Kufuor did and built upon it. So yes, it's true, they came in.